What's up, you awesome kisters? It is CistReactZ guys. Today we're reacting to Game Theory. We solved Golden Freddy again, featuring MatPat. So make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to Game Theory, and comment down below and let's check this out.
The crying child's name has been found. That's right, we finally have an answer for a question that has stumped this community for a literal decade.
Okay, that was
the
loud.
craziest part of all of it, it was solved by a channel with only one video. Matt
What?
must be rolling in his retirement grave.
Matthew Robert
We'll
Patrick.
just see about that.
Oh, hell no. He done came back from the grave.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's happy to let someone else solve FNAF for a change.
It's so weird just hearing that. Like, MatPat's in the video, but, like, he didn't say it. Just for old time's sake. That's weird.
Since the release of Security Breach, it feels like there's been a massive new wave of FNAF theorizing on YouTube. We've seen the rise of people like John FNAF, Toast, ID's Fantasy, and dozens more, all joining us in the good fight to try and solve the infuriating lore of this franchise. And just over a month ago, a new challenger, or should I say challengers, entered the ring. The channel Dual Process Theory. And they went big for their first outing, making the claim that they'd solved the entirety of FNAF in their very first video. And
really?
Not only were they laying down a timeline
it
for the whole series, they also claimed to have solved a particular mystery that has been
I think I
bugging us
asked him, could I watch
theorists
the
for
video
a long
too?
time. What is the name of the crying child? After nearly 10 years, we still just call him the crying child, despite the fact that every other character in this franchise seems to get a name. Mike, Elizabeth, Charlie, even the missing children got names. So why is this kid's name left blank? Well, according to Dual Process Theory, it's not that he doesn't have a name, it's that we just missed it. We've had the name all along, we've just been giving it to someone else. They suggest that the crying child's name is Cassidy. The name we found all the way back in the word search of the survival logbook. The same name that, for the longest time, we have given to the vengeful spirit from Ultimate Custom Night, the one Afton should not have killed. Not only that, but they claim that the child we thought was Cassidy doesn't even exist. For years, we've assumed that there are 7 dead kids, 5 missing children's incident victims, including Cassidy,
This edit is awesome.
Emily the puppet, and the nameless crying child. But instead, they claim that there have only ever been 6, with the final missing kid and the bite victim being one in the same.
Oh,
Cassidy
snap.
Afton. It's a bold claim, but when you get into the meat of it, their argument is actually quite compelling. So I went back to the drawing board and started mapping out the pieces myself to see if I
search
could
up Henry's
come to that
daughter's
same
name, 'cause I
conclusion.
forgot.
Is the crying child actually Cassidy? Ladies and gentlemen, it's
Hey Tom,
Oh,
what
Charlotte.
you doing?
Oh, hey Matt.
Oh my God,
I'm,
he's back.
Kind of in the middle of solving FNAF.
Yeah, okay.
Look at him, he's
you have a theory
back.
that changes everything. A clue that we missed?
Kinda, yeah.
Perfect. Well, before you fire up the old Golden Freddy thumbnail and then slap a dark truth on that, I've got another puzzle for you to solve. Lore-fi. It's the music-based mystery project that I've been working on. Basically, it's what you get if you have Lo-Fi Girl, but you mix in a murder mystery.
Because who hasn't ever wondered that?
I know! But the good news is you don't have to wonder anymore, because episode 1 is finally ready.
Oh, it's an
On one
advertisement.
level, you can just study
Alright, so yeah, y'all make sure y'all check out Lorify. I know damn well they did not have MatPat here just to promote his new show, though. Come on, I need to hear him theorize.
clues pointing at the story of a missing kid.
Okay, I gotta go back. I think the advertisement ended.
On our Lore-fi Spotify channel. But you know what? If you want to go a level deeper, hidden within some of that music and the videos that exist here on YouTube, there are clues pointing at the story of a missing kid. A missing kid named Gregory.
Gregory? Seriously, Matt?
Yeah, hear me out. Yeah, I got nothing. I just wanted to meme on the name. Good news though, my Gregory, not a
Bro
robot.
just wanted to be FNAF.
Sure, for now. I assume you put a link in the description on your way in.
Of course he did.
To be discovered in a half year. Herself-trapped.
Coming down the pipeline. I was actually just about to do a Morty on Dual Process Theory's theory.
Oh, I remember that one. It's a great video. But you do realize the M in Morty stands for MatPat, right? MatPat occasionally
In every year.
of us, but
Nearly 2 hours long after all. Who has that much time? Well, except for you, considering you took over 4 hours to react to it.
look, I'm
Dang.
retired now. I've got nothing but time. But I think you're right. So let's quickly recap, starting with the first major point, how we got the name in the survival
Okay, there we go.
logbook. Now, this book has been a cornerstone of the FNAF franchise since its release. Inside, we have 3 separate people speaking to us. Michael Afton, who writes in red pen, a
For the
spirit
glory
that
of
writes
pizza.
in faded text, and a third person that alters the text of the book. The faded text writes the words "my name" on a number are the pages. And on those pages, there's always some sort of weird number. Take all those numbers and turn them into coordinates for the word search, and bam! You get the name Cassidy.
It sounds so simple now, but I remember ripping my hair out over this at the same time you were.
But the key to the whole thing was one very important usage of my name. On one of the pages, the my name appears on a gravestone, just like the gravestone missing a name from FNAF 6's ending, which, it should be remembered, released around the same time as this book. So it seems pretty darn obvious that these clues were revealing the name of that final character, the fifth missing child, which is why for the longest time we've been calling the fifth child Cassidy.
And this is where dual process theory throws their first spanner into the works.
You mean wrench?
Look, you chose a British guy to take over. This is what you get. While yes, my name appeared on every page the clues were hiding, notice what's on the opposite page of the word search. A mirror. And under it, the spirit leaves a message. What do you see? Well, what's on the other page? The crying child using altered text in the word search. It's me, Cassidy. God,
It's
so
me,
good.
Cassidy?
It is pretty compelling,
actually
especially because,
insane.
in all honesty, the placement of that mirror always felt suspicious to me. So I really like them using it for their theory. But if Crying Child is Cassidy, then who else is speaking in the book? You need a second spirit to act as the fated text.
Well, according to them, it's Charlie, the puppet, doing what she's been trying to do the entire series. Help the lost spirits find themselves.
And again, I gotta say, I really like that. Narratively, that's really satisfying because it brings together the three main characters from the franchise all in the same place. Mike with his red pen, Crying Child Cassidy as the altered text, and Charlie guiding the conversation as the ghostly fated text. It's cool and it feels complete, but is there actual evidence to support this, or is it all hypothesis? And that's not all. Dual process theory weren't just satisfied with Crying Child having Cassidy's name, they went further to suggest that the Crying Child is Cassidy, as in Cassidy is an Afton, and the fifth missing child on the gravestone, and the spirit within Golden Freddy, the only spirit.
I am so locked in right now, I'm not even talking.
Our theories where the Crying Child is one half of our best golden boy.
They also have the evidence to back it up. The first point is that Golden Freddy doesn't speak in plurals. When you take a look at the one line we ever get from Golden Freddy, what do we see? It's me, singular, implying that there's only one spirit in there. Compare that to what we see in the books. Throughout the series, there have only been 2 instances of animatronics possessed by multiple people. The first—
Yo, what the? Who the fuck? So we just gonna act like we don't just see a fucking pig from Minecraft as Bonnie? Anyway, Cook.
is the Stitch Wraith from the Fazbear Frights epilogues. The second is Rosie Porkchop from the Fazbear Frights story Together Forever. And while the Stitch Wraith isn't able to speak until the second soul is gone, Rosie Porkchop speaks while still containing both spirits, and refers to itself as Ladies in Waiting. It's using plurals, showing the 2 spirits.
We're gonna come back to that point, right?
Yeah, don't worry, we're gonna come back to all of this.
Okay, great, because I have thoughts on that one.
The second point they bring up is everyone's favorite FNAF 3 classic, Happiest Day. This is the final minigame where we see the puppet giving cake to the birthday child, surrounded by their friends in animatronic masks. Once the puppet delivers the cake, the child stops crying, puts on their Golden Freddy—
Sorry, I have a thought and I just really need to say it, but do you ever just wonder, like, how long this Discord call between them is? Like, this Discord call between them's gotta be, like, at least 5 hours of recording their thoughts on 5 Nights at Freddy's.
mask, and all the children's spirits move on.
Well, except for Charlie, because she's still got to show up in FNAF 6.
Yeah, because nothing can ever just be as it seems with this franchise. But
Yep.
there is one thing that I think
never
we
can just
both agree
end.
is very straightforward. There are only 6 kids at this party, the 5 missing children and the puppet. If there were supposed to be 2 spirits inside Golden Freddy, why isn't there a 7th kid? Which ties in perfectly to point number 3, the glowing eyes at the end of FNAF 3.
This one's personal, so I'll take it. As a reminder, if you beat FNAF 3 without doing the Happiest Day minigame, you get the game's bad ending. This gives us a screen where our 4 main animatronics each have one glowing eye, symbolic of the fact that their spirits haven't been released yet. Seems
Kinda
pretty
look like how their eyes look like
self-explanatory, right?
cages,
So then
too.
Look who we have in the
Like
back.
bars.
Golden Freddy, with not just one glowing eye, but 2. This was always the backbone to the whole 2 spirits debate. The idea that, unlike all the other animatronics who each had one kid's spirit inside of them, Golden Freddy was different. He had 2, both the innocent crying child spirit and the vengeful spirit Cassidy, the 5th victim. It was a theory that was further supported by the books, specifically the Stitch Wraith stingers, where we see an animatronic possessed by 2 spirits, a nice wholesome kid named Jake and an evil angry spirit named Andrew. One who dies in a hospital setting like the crying child, and one who dies by a brutal murder from Afton. I mean, the parallels are hard to deny.
Interesting.
However, dual process process challenges this by calling out the fact that if there were indeed two spirits in the body, why then do both eyes go out once you complete Happiest Day? Especially since we've believed that the Cassidy spirit lingers on to torture Afton in Ultimate Custom
That's a good
Night.
point.
Only one light should have gone out, to which I have one answer: retcon. But obviously that's a bit of a
Retcon.
cheap explanation if we can avoid it.
Which brings us to Dual Process's last point. How can the crying child be the fifth missing kid when, very clearly, he's not missing? Like, he's literally right here in front of a large room of people. Well, they make the assumption that this was all part of William's scheme. After the bite of 83, William pulls his child out of the hospital, and while experimenting with harvesting remnants, has the bright idea to stuff his son into Golden Freddy. Whoops! Bad idea, Will. It doesn't work, and the spring locks kill him, which is why we see Golden Freddy twitching in Ultimate Custom Night in the same way William does during the FNAF 3 teaser. This mistake devastates him, and in a drunken stupor, he lashes out at Henry's daughter, Charlie, killing her last.
That's
This
one
then
crazy
aligns with
crash
what we
out.
see from the gravestone puzzle in Help Wanted 2. To solve it, you have to light the gravestones marked by the 6 dead children in a specific order. Presumably
Super
the
Horror Bro
order in
mentioned.
which they died. Chica, the first, she has seen everything, followed by Foxy, Freddy, Bonnie, then Golden Freddy, and finally the
Oh, that was funny what he did there. The first and seen everything. That was a good one.
puppets. Later, when the police start to investigate the disappearances at the restaurant, William claims his child also went missing to throw them off the scent that he may be the killer.
Now, while I don't really love the logical jumps their explanation takes there, one thing I really do like about the crying child being the fifth missing victim, and therefore the only spirit inside Golden Freddy, is that it really does help clean up the numbers. For years, 5 was the magic number in FNAF when it came to dead kids. Then, around FNAF 3, it evolved into 6 with the inclusion of the puppet. And yet FNAF 4 shows us what was presumably a 7th kid dying in the form of the crying child. And while Help Wanted does eventually give us 7 graves and a hidden out-of-bounds Easter egg, it always bugged me that there was never a gravestone for him in the FNAF 6.
And how the fuck? See, this is why I will always say it on every MatPat video, because I probably have, but like, y'all are some tryhards. A out-of-bounds Easter egg? How did y'all even know to like just like take the game's camera and just look around out of bounds to make sure there wasn't anything hidden? And then why would they leave it in there too?
Ending. I always just assumed that it was because he ended up being different. He wasn't a victim of Afton's, and thus he wasn't included in that final image. But if Crying Child is in fact the 5th kid, it helps explain why there was never an additional grave for him. Because he was always there to begin with. He was the one hidden behind the grass.
They also don't mention this in their theory, but in FNAF 3, look at the spirit who gets Afton's spring locked. They have tears streaming down their face, just like the crying child. We never see the other spirits' faces. We're specifically being shown that this one has tears, revealing that this isn't a separate spirit from the crying child. They are one in the same. Scott even used the same model in FNAF World specifically for the crying child.
To be fair, tears are everywhere in the series though.
I guess MatPat's gonna say what's on mine. I was gonna say, like, let's be honest though. If it's the same damn model down there, the faces are probably the same too.
I mean, the puppet is shown crying literally all the time.
And that's a whole different spirit.
Are we done? Did they solve FNAF? Can I retire now too?
No, you still have to solve Poppy.
No.
Oh, hell
and
no.
Lorfi.
Okay.
And Ban.
No!
Brody's gonna have his own lore series on Game Theory. That's one hell of a content generator, honestly. MatPat just kind of created infinite money by having his own series be solved on his own TV show. Or, not TV show, YouTube show.
But secondly, well, this theory is really satisfying from a narrative standpoint. It helps to simplify a lot of the confusing elements that have built up over the years. There are a few pieces of evidence that they didn't mention that might poke a few holes in their theory.
Oh yeah?
So Tom, what's this sound?
It's a flatline.
And when does a flatline happen?
Well,
Now,
a
4?
flatline is typically shorthand.
Oh,
to
yeah,
show that
you
someone
mean
has
in
died,
real life,
usually in a
yeah.
hospital.
Exactly.
That's
During
embarrassing.
FNAF 4, we see things like IV bags, pills, and flowers surrounding the bed. All things that you would see in a hospital. Crying Child was in the hospital for his injuries, and then we hear a flatline right after Afton says that he's going to put his son back together. Afton leaves, represented by psychic friend Fredbear fading away, which then leaves
Psychic
Crying
friend
Child
Fred-
alone in the dark.
Psychic friend Fredbear mentioned.
He's lost in the darkness. He's dead. He's alone. Everything about this cutscene seems to be suggesting that he died in this hospital. Could you potentially make the argument that William pulled his son off of life support in the hospital and brought him back to an underground bunker where he's going to do experiments
That
on
would
him
be
until he's
crazy.
able to bring him back to life? And that's why we hear a flatline here? Sure, you could make that argument, but it feels really overcomplicated just for the sake of your theory.
And just
Even
kinda
still,
wrong,
if he did
too.
do all of that, there's a room full of people that saw Afton's son get bit. That make it pretty darn hard for Afton to convince anyone that his son went missing as part of some random killer's murdering spree.
There's also that whole speaking in plurals thing I know you had thoughts on.
Yes, thank you. I brought up earlier the huge number of parallels between the two spirits inside the CistReactZ in the books and the two spirits that are potentially inside of Golden Freddy in the games. Now, say what you will about book-based evidence, but the epilogues at the end of these things tend to be very important for storytelling. I mean, we saw that explicitly with the reveal of the Mimic. So to focus on this character of the CistReactZ, comprised of two spirits across 11 books, yeah, that feels pretty darn important. And in the Stingers, each spirit inside the CistReactZ speaks in the first person.
Another thing that just crossed my mind. Hey, it's a reaction video. Like I'm gonna keep pausing. I know some people don't like it, but if something crosses my mind while I'm watching, I gotta say it so I don't interrupt the show. But like, what if? And plus, this thought adds on to the show. What if, like, the Mimic? Well, no. Yeah. What if, like, the Mimic animatronic with two ghosts is gonna appear later? Cause like, what if Golden Freddy was never the two ghosts that we think it is, and another animatronic is actually gonna come up with it? How flabbergasted would the community be after that?
So it would then make sense for one spirit inside of Golden Freddy to say, "It's me, singular. It's me, the crying child, your brother." But let's go a level deeper. In the Stingers, the CistReactZ is made up of a mix of parts. Andrew, the angry one, is established to not be able to see because his part forms the body. Jake, the nice one,
That would
can see
suck.
because his spirit is trapped in the head part. As such, he reports what's happening in the world back to Andrew in the body. And what do we see happening in the logbook? Well, it's a similar sort of dynamic. One spirit asks, "What do you see?" And the other one responds,
I can't wait to show you guys
can't
what is on the
see. It's a
bottom of my
direct
screen.
parallel. Even down to the Happiest Day mini.
'Cause it just scared the shit out of me.
When Jake is given the chance to move on and pass into the afterlife, but he chooses to linger back in order to help Andrew. Eventually, one of them moves on while the other is kept to Earth, held back by Afton. Sound familiar? It should. It once again parallels a lot of what we're seeing happen
UCN.
with Golden Freddy in the games.
On top of that, dual process theory reminded me of this moment in FNAF 4's minigames, where the crying child is locked in the back room with a Golden Freddy costume. They pointed out the tufts of hair coming out of the suit, explaining this to be an employee who bled out. However, in one of our old videos, you made the valuable point that
Wires.
this head is just sitting too low in the torso. When adults wear it, we see their heads fully out, even when they're sitting. This is something that is explicitly shown to us in places like the graphic novels, which tells us then that the person in the suit here, it's gotta be a child. Again, we see this in the books. In Fazbear Frights,
I
we
always
have
kinda thought
scenes
that was
where kids
wires.
reach into the Golden Freddy suit and see black curly hair sitting inside. This is a dead kid that we know was put inside of Golden Freddy. Presumably, this should be the fifth missing child.
That
This
would
is
be
why
crazy.
Crying Child's Fredbear plushie
If
tells
true.
him, "Remember what you saw." He has literally seen the deaths of other kids.
Huh. You ever thought that maybe that's the answer?
What do you mean?
Well, is it possible that this story is actually way simpler than we, the FNAF community, have made it out to be? I mean, look at the
Probably.
scene. Like, really look at the scene. It is pretty darn self-explanatory. A kid is locked in the storage closet and literal tufts of hair are sticking out of the suit. I remember when I first saw this scene, I overthought this thing to death, assuming that it had to be more than just hair sticking out of the suit. Maybe they were wires or tufts of suit hair or something like that, because this was 1983, and by all accounts, it was the first location. It was Fredbear's family diner.
I ain't gonna lie to you, suit hair is kind of stretching it. I feel like it's just either wires. Hell, it could be a kid's hair or it could be wires. It's only that. It's only a 50-50 right there.
The beginning of the timeline. The missing children's incident didn't happen here. It was at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Clearly, these brown pixels had to represent something else. But in retrospect, the scene is pretty explicit. There's a kid dead in this suit. Done, cut and dry. Remember what you saw? You saw a dead kid. We, as theorists, are so often desperate to search for narrative satisfaction. We bend over backwards to try and justify timelines where Afton is killing kids because of Elizabeth's death, or because he's trying to put his son back together and he wants to run experiments to harvest remnant from other kids. But What if he's just a weird, sick dude who just started killing kids one day? No overcomplicated backstory required. I didn't get to talk about this before leaving the channel, but in Help Wanted 2, if
I mean,
you like
either
the
way,
final
he's
gravestones
sick. He
in a very
killed
specific
kids
order, you unlock a
for whatever
huge lore
purpose.
clue in the form of the Bonnie mask. This is the moment that basically confirms that we're playing the game as Bonnie Bro. But the order of the gravestones, it feels very intentional. They explicitly give us an order of events. Chica first, then Foxy, Freddy, Bonnie, Golden Freddy fifth, Puppet last. It was really confusing because Charlie dying last didn't make any sort of sense. What about this?
A wound first inflicted on me.
And yet this gravestone evidence is what the games are telling us. It's also kind of what we're seeing in FNAF 4. If that tuft of hair is to be believed, and really, why wouldn't we believe it, that gravestone timeline could probably be right. Afton was just killing kids because he could. He was a deranged serial killer.
Man, retirement really has taken a toll on you. But
Damn.
I also think I see where you're going with this. Crying Child witnesses the dead kids in the suits and then gets bit by Fredbear on the day of his party. Afton would be devastated by it.
Yo, conspiracy theory. What if MatPat knows shit and he's slowly trying to push us into like what we should be knowing? Cause like, bro visited Scott like after retirement. There ain't no damn way he didn't ask no questions. Nah, this is just all an elaborate scheme to be like, hey, this is what it is, but I can't really directly say it.
This, promising to put his son back together. He'd be furious at his business partner Henry because it was his engineering that did this to his boy. Then, one night, an opportunity presented itself. Charlie was locked outside by some bullies, and so Afton, in a fit of rage, killed Charlie. Unlike all the other killings that were premeditated, this was a crime of passion, and so it broke from all of his usual methods. And that allows this new order of deaths that Steel Wool has given us to make way more sense. Chica was always the first, but not just of the MCI, of all the deaths. That's why Henry made Security Puppet in the first place, because there were a bunch of kids disappearing from the pizzeria, and Henry wanted to protect his daughter.
Which brings us back to the beginning. Where did we land?
Holy
with the whole
shit,
dual
never thought
process
about it
theory?
like that.
Did they solve FNAF? Is Cassidy the crying child?
I think the answer is yes, but also no. There are two sides to this coin, right?
I gotta
Is
watch that
Crying
theory.
Child the fifth missing kid that we've called Cassidy for all these years? I'm just not sure. It would simplify a lot, especially the FNAF 3 minigames where there's only 5 kids. But then we see a kid already dead inside the Golden Freddy suit before Crying Child even dies. And
Can
then
bro
there's
stop
the dozens
crying?
of people that watch him die and flatline at the end of FNAF 4, which would make it hard for him to be considered missing, let alone considered one of the missing children specifically.
It's true. As much as I like it from a narrative standpoint, there's just as much evidence against it as it is supporting it. It's typical FNAF, you know?
Well, not completely, because there's the second side of this question. Sure, Crying Child might not be the 5th missing child, but based on what dual process theory presented, I think they might be right that Crying Child's name is Cassidy. William Afton, a deranged serial killer hiding in plain sight, until one day his son Michael decided to play a prank that would kill his youngest son, Cassidy Afton. It has a nice ring to it, I've got to admit.
Maybe, and I definitely see it. It's just a frustrating catch-22, you know? We either get to have the crying child's name, and in the process we lose the established 5th missing kid name, or Cassidy is the 5th missing kid, and Crying Child remains as nameless as he ever was.
I mean, the answer's gotta be in here somewhere, surely. The altered text opposite the mirror returns the spirit's questions with, who are you? What's your name? And with Cassidy not being the 5th missing kid, that leaves the my name gravestone clue wide open. Honestly, my money's on the Foxy Grid. We never did solve it.
My money's
There's
on the
ghostly
Foxy
text
Grid.
written at the start. Maybe we should take another look.
Oh, no. There's no we here, my friend. I did my time
Damn.
with that Foxy Grid. This is all on you, man.
Oh, well then, I guess I better get started. It's not like I had a billion other FNAF things to worry about. Regardless, I suppose I should thank you for helping me out with this episode.
That makes me
Matt.
kinda
I
sad
know
to hear.
Lawfire's kept you pretty busy.
Reminded
Oh,
me that he
well,
was
we're fine.
gone.
Nearly forgot that I was on here to promote that. Just got so caught up in the FNAF discussion. Anyway, I should probably get back to working on that. The team and I have worked really hard to make this project as great as it can be, and episode 1 just launched today here on YouTube. So, if you're in need of some chill beats for studying, working, or sleeping, make sure you check out the Lorify project over on
I could just-
Spotify. We've got new music
I can
releases.
just imagine like you're like listening to music on Lorify, and then next thing you know, you just hear like glass shatter, and a guy saying, "Put down my son, Gregory," and then it just fucking goes back to like, you know, chill beats, and then you're just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, I can just only imagine like people not even considering the name like Lorify, and then they're just like running into that. Like, they'd be so traumatized.
dropping every week or so with clues hidden in
coming each month that are full to the brim with
Come on,
that
y'all.
sweet
Come on.
Lore.
You just couldn't help yourself, could
Say
you?
it.
Hey, I'm retired. I don't get to say it that much anymore.
True. Do you know what else you don't get to say much anymore?
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory.
Thanks for watching.
I knew that was coming. I just had to find it. Oh yeah. I'm glad we got to hear that. Anyway, so yeah, that was Game Theory. We solved Golden Freddy. I need to watch this dual process theory to really see the points that they made. So if you guys want me to do like a whole live stream of that tomorrow, make sure you guys hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe for more to come Kister today. I also did get permission to watch their thing too, so I think I actually might hit y'all up with a live stream tomorrow, so be ready for that.